The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster Mai, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. We talked a lot yesterday about Douglas Promenade, the state that it's in, the state that it's going to be. And if you have any thoughts, maybe you can solve the whole thing, how to get that beach back down to where it used to be and get the seawall lower down to absorb some of the energy from the might of the Irish Sea, or is it all going to be solved by a 3-foot wall on top of it all? Any thoughts on that? And Barclays in Castletown is going. It's true, if you're a Barclays customer in the south of the Isle of Man. Do you remember when Port Erin used to have that tiny little... Well, actually, I think it was a Martin's branch years and years before. Yes. The MHK for Arbury, Castletown and Maloo, Jason Morehouse, says the news was unexpected for businesses in the south and residents as well. There was an email came through stating the decision was following an extensive review of the amount of people who were using the branch. It will close on the 9th of February next year. Barclays going in Castletown. And Howard's with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hello, Andy. Barclays, they absorbed Martin's, because there used to be a Martin's Bank in Victoria Street.
There was. Down, I'm trying to think, it's now, is it IM Gold it is now, I think?
It's something like that. It was opposite where the bank is now.
That's right, yes, on the corner where the old church used to be years ago, yeah.
Well, as I say, that was absorbed into the Barclays company. And I've been with Barclays for 50 years, and I've always found them very good. But that's because I live in Douglas and the convenience. But that's not what I was coming for. I was reading recently, and plus the fact that the freedom of information apparently does not apply to the steam packet. But one of the things that the steam packet, and they've been doing this for many, many years, they have paid wages and paid tax and paid national insurance, etc., through a Guernsey-based company. And for all intents and purposes, the people who are working for the steam packet are employed on behalf of this company for the steam packet. But what I would like to question, and they say that FOI is not available, but this is connected with Treasury. Is the money that's deducted as tax and national insurance returned to the Isle of Man Treasury, or is it retained within the Treasury on Guernsey? Because if it is retained in Guernsey, then what our own government have been saying, if you visit the Isle of Man and you're going to be here for any length of time, a holiday, etc., and they tell us the same when we're going away, you will be preferred to have insurance, travel insurance, because you can, and it is reciprocal, the emergency treatment, but long-term treatment you have to pay for, and that's in the form of an insurance. But the employees of the steam packet, if they have an accident, yes, no problems, first aid treatment, first emergency treatment. But will they need insurance if they have an accident or have an accident on board and have to stay in Noble's Hospital for any length of time? But the money, is it returned to the Isle of Man government, or is it kept in Guernsey? And as an Isle of Man government-owned company, if it is retained in Guernsey, that is disgusting and shouldn't be allowed.
What do you think about the fact that, or the rationale really, they're saying for the fact that the steam packet can't be FOI'd? We can't ask for a freedom of information regarding the steam packet.
Well, this is the modern terminology within government. This is their transparency. We used to call it opaque. Now, there's a little screen goes up when you ask pertinent questions and ones they don't want to answer. So they just make a reasoning, or their reasoning, that they are outside the remit. You used to get that from the Office of Free Fair Trade, and it's outside our remit, so we can't say anything.
I think the trouble is, though, that you see, the steam packet may have absolutely nothing that, of interest, to be quite honest. But the trouble is, by saying nobody has the right to find out, they're prompting the question, what is there then?
Yeah, well, the old saying is, a man... no, I've lost track of it. A man is up to no good, and that's what they hide behind. It's a wall of defence they put up. So there must be something there that the steam packet wished to keep concealed. And that vessel is under guarantee. So when it goes in for a servicing, is it going to go into the UK ports? I believe that Ben McCree is in Belfast, but one of the reasons I think she'll be there is because of the floats that they use for going over the side for life rafts, and they have to be checked every couple of years, rebuilt virtually, and then replaced.
Interesting point. Interesting, because they've not said. I mean, it's a bit premature, but I just wonder whether the Manxman will go to Camel Laird in Birkenhead for her biannual kind of bottom scraping. Yeah,
but should anything happen to her, guarantee-wise, where would she go? Would she have to go back to Korea, or would she be in a UK port? And whose jurisdiction does she come under? Under the Manx marine jurisdiction, or under the UK one?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions asked, and this is why I think the FOI has been turned away from the steam packet to divert attention. And that question should be asked through Treasury, because my uncle sailed most of his working life on what we term loosely as the blue flu, Alfred Holt. And he had to pay dual tax, UK and Manx tax. At the end of the year, had to claim one of them back. Now, the system may well have changed. Probably has. But do these people pay dual tax? Are they paying national insurance to the Isle of Man, or are they paying national insurance to Guernsey?
Interesting, yeah. And also, I think, I can't believe that the steam packet don't understand how close people feel about their steam packet, how integrated and how integral the steam packet is to life on the Isle of Man. Everybody's invested in the steam packet. People feel like it's theirs.
Well, the Isle of Man, the Isle of Man itself, it was expensive to get off by air, and the steam packet was the lifeline, the lifeblood of the island, if you could call it that. And everybody, and they used to call them cattle ships, but they got you there and they got you back. And they had a fleet of about 11, and they would be there on a daily basis. You could almost set your watch by them. And 5 to 9 in the morning, the whistle would go, the Blue Peter would come down, and she'd be out through the breakwaters at 9 o'clock. Nowadays, with an ultra-modern ship, you don't even know what time she's going to sail now. And, it's farcical what they've gone to, from a wonderful shipping company to one that's, not run on a shoestring, because it's the government that will subsidise it, but it's running in a system whereby nobody knows what it's doing.
Okay.
And it's becoming very secretive.
All right, I appreciate that, Howard. Thanks for calling today.
Take care. Bye.
All right, 16 minutes past 12. David's on now. Hi, David.
Hi, Andy. A bit peculiar regarding the FOI requests on an arm's length company, which is technically owned by the Isle of Man, and it's custodied by the politicians, and has a Treasury member on the board. I'm sure it is, which would bring into question then, if we started a housing association board, do the same requirements apply there?
Again, these questions just pop up, and the question and the feedback I get from the hundreds and hundreds of emails and texts and WhatsApps that I get is, what have they got to hide?
I know, and it's silly, really. At the end of the day, if they hide it, things are going to come out eventually.
Of course, it's the Isle of Man. Everybody knows somebody who works for the steam packet, so we'll either get second-hand skeet from a Friday night, or we get the truth as it is from them. And I can't see long term how this is going to work.
Yeah, and the other issue too, I've seen the video of the sleeping accommodation, not for the passengers but for the crew. They just look like holes in like they used to have in China, where people have hot bedding all the time. And to go down a road where the Isle of Man's been strong on international relationships regarding, we don't sack crew because they don't conform. We arbitrate. We get an arbitrator in and a binding arbitration. So what's going on there? I can't
as you
understand
say, this is almost reputational now. This could run the risk of getting blown up out of all proportion.
It is when a major union, and whether we like it or not, a major union has agreements with people. They're binding contracts, and when you change things, you might need to change things for a reason, but you negotiate those issues out, and when new people come in, you maybe have them on new contracts, and then you just move forward on the modern world. But I just wanted to touch on the crazy idea about the concrete going down the promenade. Now, I remember when I was young too, regarding the Stabbits. Now, the idea or the concept of the Stabbits, I wish that the family connection in Onchan anybody was still alive there, but the guy that designed them. The Stabbits are like triangular pyramids with holes in them, so the sea would wash in, would take the energy as they hit the Stabbit and come out. So why aren't we, the simple things in life are, the power of the wave is great, no matter what. No good sitting down on a chair on the promenade, isn't it, with saying, get back. It's never going to happen. Why don't we just take some of that shingle and gravel and sand out as a test and make a model there, and spending something like, I don't know, millions and millions of pounds for it, maybe not to work and not be environmentally sensitive to us as you're walking down the promenade with all the pros and cons. The people who have bought apartments on the promenade must be absolutely furious of all this stuff that's happening down there. But the simple things in life, and I'm not a guy. When I was involved in the airport one, where they did the Stabbits that came, not Stabbits, they were big boulders that came from Norway or Sweden or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that sort of rock armour they brought in.
Yeah, they took the heat out of the waves coming in towards the airport landing places there, and they were designed by professional people. I remember seeing the video on it. The idea, like it's like a finger. You put your finger on the table. It's like fingers of armour going out, and as the wave comes in, it hits the armour, dissipates the force of it, and lets it go flat on it. But if we build this concrete stuff, the things are going to be piled up on the edge. The seaweed will be hanging over the top of the concrete one. How are they going to get that down? I feel for the workers. Anyway.
All right. I appreciate that, David. Thanks for calling today.
Bye-bye.
Cheers now. It's 12:20. Mike, Big Mike says, 514 Mike says, what's going on with the roadworks in Crosby? These are the ones, I think, by the Ballavitchel Road, aren't they? It's taking longer than the Irish project, says Big Mike. What's happening there? And Pat's on now. Hi, Pat.
Hello there. I just wanted to query what's going on with building a seawall along the promenade, and Mr. Thomas says it's to protect the horse tramway, but the horse tramway doesn't go yet along much of the promenade that the seawall's proposed. Shouldn't they be spending the money on finishing the horse tramway and the promenade first?
Have you made any sense of what they've been saying about this promenade wall?
Not at all, because I know it was originally refused by the planning committee, and it was only overturned on appeal after an inspector recommended it should be approved, and he didn't actually visit the site at the time because of COVID. So the seawall, it'll block view for people walking along it, for small children. It'll block the view from people with wheelchairs. It'll if it's allowed to extend further, it'll ruin the whole aspect of the promenade.
And this thing could be over 5 feet high in the end.
Yeah, Well, I think they're meant to have some sort of platforms or something every so often that people can see over, but it will. The concept of a promenade is an open view out to the sea. I know probably the wall itself underneath the walkway probably does need attention, but on the seaside. But actually, raising it that height above the walkway, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense.
What do you think they should do?
I think they should carry out what repairs they need to do, but they shouldn't be trying to block people seeing the seawall. They certainly shouldn't be trying to claim that it'll protect the horse tramway when the horse tramway doesn't run at this time of year, mainly during the stormy season. The horse trams, they survived for 140 years without having a seawall. So I'm concerned also that, as I say, they'll attempt to stop the horse trams running next year because they're doing the construction works for the seawall.
Okay, all right. Pat, I appreciate your call. Thanks for calling today.
Thank you. Bye.
23 minutes past 12. Just an update on the King Edward VIII Pier. The drilling the anchors for the 3 new 100-ton bollards apparently is nearing completion. The anchors are approximately 40 metres long and have been drilled down at an angle into the bedrock below the pier. Now, once they're in, excavating the bollard foundations can begin. It's almost like they didn't know this was going to happen. Now, you can find out more about the project. It's scheduled for completion in the new year. Quite when, we don't know, but it's got a dedicated web page. Lots of people have been asking about what's happening down in the by the pier and why the Manxman's having to go on to the other side, Victoria Pier, to discharge, and that's why obviously it's a bit shallower over there, so she's sometimes late coming in and late going out. If you go to gov.im/pier project, you can find out all about what's happening and see the pretty pictures. Juan's on now. Hi, Juan.
How are you, Andy?
It's a lovely day today.
Good. I'm glad about that. Nice to hear Ian on yesterday. It's nice to hear some new voices coming on and raising some stuff. And that's really good. Just referring back to a few things there on the promenade, which seems to be a bone of contention at the moment for whatever reason. Let's go back to what Tim Baker's statement was when this all started off. A promenade to promenade on. How the Victorians used to be, I think, was the statement that he made way back when.
I've been buying special boaters to wear to walk down it.
And high heel shoes so you can see over the wall.
Now, maybe we'll all get issued with stilts.
Yes, absolutely. I remember when I was a kid, you used to stand on the benches underneath the Villa Marina Arcade, and the sea used to roll in underneath your feet as it came over the promenade. So nothing's new here with this. With the sea situation. And a caller yesterday said about the weatherboards, the storm boards that used to be put up in the winter. And I think September, October time, they used to go out and put them storm boards up, and it obviously helped. But you mentioned yesterday about the Peter Karran was suggesting about reclaiming more land, and would that not be an obvious thing to do? It would get rid of the immediate problem and give us more space for either parking or seaside, amenities.
And also, I remember at the time, Mr. Karran said he said if you want to build very expensive tower blocks or flats, then just take the promenade out, and the government can either sell the land or have it on a long lease, and we can all make some money out of it.
And remember as well that all the old hotels along that there front there on the Villiers side, all flooded. All the basements flooded. I think the sump pumps in the Villiers ones. If you ask Steve Dawson, he'll probably know more about that. So there's obviously cracks and leaks in the existing wall anyway, if that's flooding out. I think Boots have had problem with theirs. And there's also problems with the quayside wall with flooding. So it may be time to be looking at building a new seawall and going further out. And that would kill two birds with one stone. I don't see that the wall, unless it's going to be pinned and anchored in properly, is going to stand the weather. And looking at a lot of people, it seems to be the obvious thing: get rid of the sand. You know, your seawall has that little bit of a curvature in which rolls the sea back, and that's what it's designed for. So I don't know. It just seems a little bit cock-handed, which, again, going by listening to the pressure of people at the moment, I wonder whether government actually know the feeling of the people at the moment, that the frustrations that they're not getting listened to. They just seem to be tramping on with things and not listening to the people who's voted them in. I'd be very interested now at what 24 people would actually get voted back in today if we had an election. And I did look up the Referendum Act as well. Yes, there is one, 1979 Referendum Act. It is there to be seen. Like a lot of other things, if you search for the information, it is there. People are just a bit lazy. And I just wanted to go on to, I believe my name was mentioned just today by Bonzo, and calling Julian out. Well, Bonzo, Julian's not from Croydon, but hey-ho. It's interesting how Bonzo says that we're the ones that's causing the problem here by repetitive stuff that we're saying. Well, we're only actually marking up what's happening in the rest of the world. This thing is falling to pieces at the moment. You've actually got BlackRock, who's just invested in the biggest gas fields in Canada. So the tides are turning here. The thing doesn't work properly. They had electric many, many years ago, and it got switched out for fossil fuels because it was better, it worked better. So in its present form, it's not going to work for us, and no one will still answer the question of our base loads. And where we're going to get them from, or are we going to get the desired electricity that we need? And another thing people call us out for is not being green. Well, we're greener than anyone. We're actually wanting geothermal, which is probably the greenest electricity power that we're going to get. So I don't see where that correlates either. And my other point, while I'm talking at you rather than to you, John Galloway. A solicitor with specialisation in compulsory purchase. Does that seem like the right person to head the wind industry? I'm just wondering what direction this is going.
We'll find out. Will you be going to the Orsted get-together this week at all, Juan?
Unfortunately not, Andy. No, I'm not there at all at the moment. I'm in sunnier climes at the moment, but I hope the interest stays up. It's showing now that there's a lot of dissent on the island for this. I look at a lot of the stuff in the threads and the social media, and there's an awful lot of people waking up and are concerned about this. And my concern is that we've got 24 people and an upper house who are not budging on this. And I ask why, because there's relevant questions there about geothermal, about the way that wind farms are going to work properly, because as we can see, if you look, it's fallen to pieces elsewhere. I ask myself, are these people looking after our interests, or are they looking after financial interests and, as we said, pension funds?
Okay.
Everything seems to be falling to pieces.
So sunnier climes. How is Llandudno this morning?
We've got a fantastic view of Colwyn Bay.
Thanks for calling. Thanks, John.
Take care.
All right, Charlie's with us now. Hi, Charlie.
Hi. We're going on about this beach thing. I spent most of my childhood down that section of beach from the Warm World to the bottom of Broadway. As a kid in the 50s, you could actually go down steps where the walkway is, to where that buttress for the Falcon stream comes onto the beach.
Can you remember exactly, and I'm asking you this, Charlie, can you remember exactly how many steps you used to go down?
There was 3 large steps on the north side, but when you stood on the beach, you could not actually reach the railings. The top of the wall has a buttress coming out on it to turn the waves back towards the beach again. So when they built that promenade, if you look at the end at Derby Castle and the Villiers end, there's a 4 or 5 metre high wall. it was built the same way all the way through. So if they dig the shingle out to 2 or 3 metres, they've got the natural barrier there. If you go about the old seawall, which was behind the church on Promenade, that old seawall is 3 metres above ground level. And I've done some work on webs in the 60s. When we put the steel stanchions in to take the whole ground floor out, we had a man in a 4-foot hole, 10 foot down, digging in pure white sand. The beach went up to the bottom of Crowns Hill.
So what do you think should happen now? I mean, do you think they've got it right with this new wall?
As Will said yesterday, get a couple of diggers down there, a couple of wagons, spend £10,000 clearing the shingle away and taking it away, recycling. If that works at £10,000, we're going to save millions. But the majority of planners in the government office now, they're too young. They don't even remember that sort of beach. It's the same the Peel Road, that floods. Going through the National Sports Centre there was 2 metre high walls either side of the river to stop flooding. They took pipes from Peel Road through them into the river. When the river's in flood, it's higher than the roadway. It's what it used to do. It's flooded again since.
All right. Okay. I appreciate you calling, Charlie. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
Good
Bye.
to hear from you. A message in now from Wally, who just said, here's Wally, Walter, who just said, Andy, everybody keeps talking about railways on the Isle of Man and being green. And he said, but nobody seems to recall the fact that, well, I don't think anybody was around at the time, but it was in 1896 when the Upper Douglas Cable Tramway was there. So the Isle of Man was way ahead of the curve where that was concerned, right at the bottom of Victoria Street where the Villiers clock is. That was the bottom end of the Douglas Cable Tramway. It went right up the top through Ridgeway Street, Duke Street, Domain Road, Rosemount, Albany Road, down into York Road, Drury Terrace there, Victoria Road. There was a terminal there. It didn't last much after 1929, but the Upper Douglas Cable Tramway, so just part of our railway heritage on the Isle of Man, some of which we retain and a lot of which has gone. Thank you, Walter. It's good to hear from you. And more messages coming in regarding this, your view of what should be happening on Douglas Promenade. Shall we hear what the Infrastructure Minister, Tim Crookall, has to say?
It's a mixture of things, but it's about the protection of the promenade and people going along there. And it's something that's been worked on for a long time, and it's just come to fruition now. But we've all heard about the climate changes and all sorts of things. At some stage, that wall along the whole of the prom probably needs to be done. So it's just a starting point for that.
There is concern about the height.
Yeah, we've seen in the last few years what happened to the sunken gardens and things with the water coming over and stuff. And it may well be that water will still come over, but it will offer some protection, obviously, to the promenade. So the 1.2 metres is what's been decided on for now.
Would having groins along the beach help at all?
That's an interesting one, the groins. It's, it wasn't us that took them away, I don't think, as far as I know, but they were put there for a reason. And obviously they used to stop the sand from drifting and all sorts of things, and we have them on Peel Beach and things, and people say they should be put back. I don't know much about it, but I don't know when they were taken out, but I'm certainly going to have a discussion to find out more, because I don't know much about those, but they seem to do their job in stopping the sands and everything else from drifting.
Tim Crookall, MHK, Infrastructure Minister. This is the 500 metres of railings along Douglas Promenade are going to go replaced with a 1.2 metre high wall. Now 1 metre is just over 3 feet, so this is going to be 4 feet and a bit. And there's an option to put another half a metre plus on top of it. So we're talking about over 5 feet if this happens, with work's going to be getting underway in the start of the new year. And that was what the minister had to say. John from Peel Road said, and he called to say that a man used to shovel sand from Castle Mona to the horse tram station on a daily basis to clear sand from the walkway. So, where do we go? what do you think about what should happen on Douglas Promenade? Haven't had many Barclays customers from Castletown or the south of the Isle of Man call. Was anybody ending up actually using the Barclays branch in Castletown?
In our quest to remove all single-use plastic from our milk packaging, Isle of Man Creamery cartons, including the new 1.75 litre carton, are now 100% recyclable, made from sustainable and renewable sources. We're the first in the British Isles to offer these new large cartons, and you can pick them up now in local retailers or add them to your Isle of Man Creamery doorstep delivery. Plant-based cartons from Isle of Man Creamery. Better for the environment, better for you.
Do you run a business? Think Nicola Bowker & Co. Need an accountant? Think Nicola Bowker & Co. Do you want accounts you can trust? Think Nicola Bowker & Co. All businesses, whatever your size, call today for a free initial chat.
This Christmas, support local with festive delights from Manx producers. Visit iomfoodanddrink.com/Christmas to get inspired and find superb gifts for family and friends. Taste the difference, share the joy. Nolik Genel, Isle of Man.
Get more this Christmas with Sure. Sign up to a Sure Unlimited Max Pay monthly mobile plan and get a £100 to spend in M&S. Unlimited data, our fastest download speed, 8 gigabytes of Zone 1 roaming data, plus a £100 M&S gift voucher. What more could you want? Visit us in-store or online at sure.com. T's and C's apply.
Strandvets.com. Taking on new equine patients. Prompt appointments, test results, instant x-rays, horse health plan, from $18.50 a month, dental care and more. Call Strand Vets on 835 424.
Whatever your business, whatever its size, you can always rely on the island's leading fuel and oil supplier to keep you moving. Ellen Vannin Fuels, powering the island and powering industry. Call us on 844 000.
Are you feeling inspired to take the plunge? It might be distinctly wintry out there, but it's actually a really good time to get your cold on. This evening at 6 p.m, tune in to Manx Radio for another chance to hear our special programme celebrating sea swimmers, river dippers and other adventurous souls telling us their stories from the sea. On air at 6 p.m, or listen back later as an Island Live podcast at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
And also, I'm dragging everybody in here. Simon just said one of my favourite pieces of Manx infrastructure that should be retained and renewed. Well, this will cost a fortune to do, and I just wonder what you think about it. And it is the Falcon Cliff lift. That's the bit between the old Palace Hotel, well, the new Palace Hotel, if you like, the old Palace, come Hilton, come everything else, Best Western. The Falcon Cliff lift, how about putting that bit up? 129 feet up. Apparently it's still there. It's very overgrown. I don't know whether the engine's still there, but what to do with that? That would cost a fortune to put the old Falcon Cliff lift in, wouldn't it? Howard's there as well. You remember the Falcon Cliff lift, don't you, Howard?
I do. I've used it. And also the one that used to go from the bottom of Little Switzerland up through to Cunningham's Camp.
Oh, yes, the what became the Isle of Man Business Park. And actually, that's I think the building is still there at the top. The kind of turreted building is still there.
That's right. There were two motors up the top, up at the back of what looks like a little fort. And the two motors were there with all the levers the last time I was in having a look. And the actual woodwork that covered that chairlift had been completely overgrown with ivy, which gave it strangely a natural weather protection. And it was pretty good in there. Even the paint was still on the seats, what we used to call Corporation Green. And I've ridden on that quite a number of times, because this is what I'm saying before. When we were children, we used to spend our life down on that promenade all summer. And that's where I saw, and even the people here didn't believe it, but there were seahorses, and all these different things are all down there because of the generation that's coming up through now have never done that. They've been flying away on continental holidays, this, that, and the other, and they don't know what the Isle of Man's about. It's us old fogies, or, well, seriously getting on in age, that we remember these things. And the modern people that's coming in and going into office jobs, etc., they've got their computers. The Victorians used their brains. And this is the trouble. They see something down there, and those walls were designed by the Victorians, the sea walls. And they will be solid, believe me. And I can remember all along there, the stones did come in, but they did remove them. But if you look back in some of the books, etc., you'll see the boarding house people and the hotels used to put their bedding out there, the laundry out on there to dry. And then put it back on the beds. Wouldn't dare do it these days. But you'll see photographs of all the sheets out on the stones, the pebbles, etc. But there was at least a 3 or 4 foot drop down onto that beach. And that was from Broadway over towards the Empress area, where they're talking about putting a wall now. But that lift you're talking about, that had a water tank underneath it, I believe, and that acted as a counterbalance. When they released it from the top, the weight of the water balance would help the lift, was little more than a garage on wheels, to go to the top.
Yeah.
And it would be the same coming down. There is a book out about it. I can't remember, I've got it upstairs somewhere. But it's that and the chairlift. And I do believe that they've taken some of the chairlift, the one that was Little Switzerland. It came down to where that archway is, going up through Little Switzerland.
Oh, it's in, I'm trying to think, Switzerland Road by the Edelweiss Hotel, isn't it?
That's the one. If you go up that way, and there's an archway up the top and an entrance, and that's where you used to go into there, and the 2 chairlifts, one was going up, one was coming down. And I think it was a penny up and penny down or something like that. But you're going back, I heard you saying about the cable car.
Yeah.
And anybody that's on the promenade and you go over to the bottleneck car park, I don't know where it was found, but when they were doing some work in Douglas, that large cogwheel, drive wheel, that's sitting down there by the sea terminal, it's been put there purposely. That was all part of the winding gear.
I remember they were excavating down there. I think they were doing something with a roundabout or something down there, and they found the wheel still there.
That's right, and that's what's mounted on a pedestal down there by the sea terminal. And when you think of the Victorians, how they built that cable that it was used to draw the cable cars up and down, weighed 20 ton. And that was a serious lump of metal, and it went all the way up through to what used to be where Waverley Court is now, the bus garages, but that was the winding house. And where the little Chinese restaurant is in Waverley Terrace, Waverley Road, I looked the other day actually, just coming up past, and the lines going into the back of that building are exposed again on the surface, and that was from the cable cars.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. Good to hear from you, Howard. Thanks for that.
Take care, bye now.
All right, it's 1:45 on Manx Radio. The street's Palace View Terrace, by the way. Palace View Terrace is where the bottom of the Falcon Cliff lift is. It's still there. It's ramshackle. It's completely ruined, but you can see where it used to be. And somebody's mentioned, if you go to YouTube, there's actually a fantastic YouTube video of Charles Gard going up and down on the Falcon Cliff lift. And the message from Yvonne is, and just says, well, whoever still owns what used to be the Falcon Cliff Hotel, good on them, because they keep it illuminated all the time. So well done to whoever that company is. I think it's a big financial company that owned that building that used to be the Falcon Cliff, which in its time had a massive ballroom. It was one of the big venues and needed the funicular railway, the chairlift, to get everybody up there. And Yvonne just said, really, that could be the last thing that's illuminated on the promenade on the Isle of Man. It still looks great.
Looking for the perfect gift for your foodie friends and family? Look no further than woodburndeli.im, your go-to online haven for culinary delights and thoughtful presents. At Woodburn Deli, we offer everything from specialty spirits and wines to artisanal cheese and charcuteries. Step inside and explore perfect gifts and treats for you or your loved ones. Not to mention our selection of hand-packaged hampers. Vouchers available too. Just visit woodburndeli.im.
Have you been invited to take part in the Household Income and Expenditure Survey? It's one of the most important surveys for our island because the information you provide is vital data for our island's financial planning. It helps us calculate our VAT revenue from the UK. Plus, it gives us a better understanding of the financial strains on residents, so we can support those who are struggling. If you've been invited, please take part. Visit gov.im/HIES for more information.
For your new bathroom, head to Pacesetter, Harris Terrace, Douglas or Spring Valley. In Pacesetter's fully fitted showroom, you'll find the latest bathroom products and designs, from new contemporary styles to traditional Victorian tiles, wall and ceiling panels, accessories and much more. With many ranges exclusive to Pacesetters, plus professional design advice from the experts, visit Pacesetter, Harris Terrace, Douglas or Spring Valley.
You can get the best of everything, where the price is twice as nice.
Everyone's more conscious of energy usage nowadays, so Manx Utilities has begun installing smart meters for standard domestic customers island-wide. With our Smart Living app available too, you'll be in control of tracking and managing your energy. No need to contact us. We'll be in touch when we're ready to fit your smart meter. Visit the Smarter Living page at manxutilities.im. Manx Utilities, delivering a smarter future.
Get ready for another winning weekend on Manx Radio.
And this weekend, you can win a £200 voucher to spend in-store at Lifestyle Furniture. Supporting Breast Cancer Now, they're running their biggest pink weekend ever, starting on Thursday with up to 70% off, as well as offers on pink sticker items in their 2 stores.
Visit manxradio.com and answer the competition question for your chance to win.
Then make sure you join us for Manx Radio Breakfast on Monday morning to find out if you're the lucky winner.
Make this your winning weekend with your nation station, Manx Radio.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
James dropped a note in on 365. The wall on Douglas Prom is a lazy, costly way of dealing with stones on the promenade walkways. Just simply lower the beach. That wall is just out of sight, out of mind, and a way to stop having to clean the roads and the horse tram tracks of stone. Lazy and lazy. I just want to draw this to your attention. The Mackle Cross House Committee. I've got a drop-in session tomorrow afternoon and evening at Kirkmackle Church Hall, 4 till 7 p.m. Okay, if at the drop-in you can find out more about the refurbishment of the current cross house and the longer-term proposal to house the crosses, which are stunning, in a refurbished and extended church hall. The intention is to safeguard the future of the unique Celtic and Viking crosses in the Kirkmackle collection. You talk about tourist attractions. Our Celtic and Viking crosses are stunning. The Cross House Committee aims to support the work of Kirkmackle Church and Manx National Heritage in preserving these historically and culturally significant Manx crosses. Now, if you want more information, Martin's got all the details on 422148. 422148. The current cross house contains a wide range of historically important stone carvings from the 6th century to the 13th, covering the early Christian period, Celtic and Norse, and the cross house contains an impressive range of slabs found in Mackle, including a carving representing the legend of Sigurd and Juin the Priest stone, which is found in the Karran Valley. Honestly, if you haven't seen it, you've got to go there. You'll lose yourself for about 2 hours. It's fantastic. More details. Martin Royal has got them all on 422148. That's 422148. And James on now. Hi, James.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. What's on your mind?
Just this, the wall in Douglas, it just seems to me a bit like shutting the door once the horse is bolted. Why don't they try something cheaper or easier or something first rather than just going ahead and building a...
What would be cheaper, do you think?
Like a man-made reef on the outside of the Tower of Refuge, just to take the sting out of the waves, so they can hit that. and then they'll take all the meat out of the waves before they get in towards the sea wall.
Do you think, I don't know about you, but once they put the wall in, surely the beach is going to build up on the other side of the wall?
Yeah, it just seems to me like, if you got water coming in your house, if it's coming into your house, it's just like, instead of going up to the top of the river to see where the water's coming from, you just end up putting your sandbags at your front door, whereas if you go up a bit further, you might be able to clear the drain, you know what I mean? It just seems like it's the last bit of defence, so they're just putting a bigger wall up because the waves keep coming in. I think they should look into sinking a few buses or something out further, out past the Tyre Refuge. Sink a few buses together, chain them up, put one of those new boats that they got that's never sailed, tie that down there, and just take the sting out of the waves.
A man-made reef in that way. Well, I'm sure they appreciate it. James, thanks for that.
Yeah, no bother. All right.
Good to hear from you. Let's hear what Douglas Central MHK Chris Thomas has to say.
Primary purpose of the seawall that's being constructed is to protect the heritage railway and the roads, the highways assets and the pavement. It's not to stop water flooding into Douglas. It's to stop waves breaking over and throwing big rocks onto the pavement and the road. So to make that point, most of the promenade will still have railings along it. Where things are particularly vulnerable, like around the War Memorial and in the 500 metres around the War Memorial, there will be a wall to make waves break back into the sea and not throw over rocks and seaweed and the like. But for most of the promenade, the actual seawall that will be achieving that will be on the other side of the walkway. So I hope that helps people. Most of the promenade will still be without a 1.2 metre high wall.
And when you look at the plans, obviously the part of the sunken gardens will still have railings, but that's because I suppose that's the job of the sunken gardens.
Exactly that. The sunken gardens were built nearly 100 years ago.
I mean, we say protect the railway. There isn't one there at the moment.
But, yeah, fair point, but there's a space left for it, and the sunken gardens were built for exactly this purpose. So the Douglas City Council is working closely with the Department of Infrastructure and has been doing for a number of years on all of this. We'll come to the sand in a moment because that's the beach is theirs, but they do work together. But essentially the sunken gardens was always there as flood protection. It got destroyed, so therefore this time the outside seawall and the sunken gardens has been built stronger, but it's not been built as strong as the seawall that's being built by the DOI next to the sea, because the Department of City Council can't use ratepayers' money for building seawalls. That's for government with taxpayers' money, but it has been built stronger so that if waves get all of that way and all that, it should last for longer than it would otherwise.
That's Chris Thomas, MHK, and his view of what's happening. And Peter's on now. Hi, Peter.
Hi. Good afternoon. I just wonder whether or not your listeners are aware that they're going to try and do the same thing in Laxey, on Laxey Promenade, build a wall high. There was the meeting about it a few months ago. And one of my pals went down to the meeting. He's lived all his life in Laxey, knows all about it. Apparently at one time there was half a dozen steps going down to Laxey Beach. Now it's just all filled with stone. He said to them, why don't they take the stuff away and recycle it instead of building a wall? So Douglas Beach is not the only one they're thinking of doing them.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that, Peter. Your phone signals made you sound like you're in a bathroom, but we got the point, and we've heard that about Laxey, and we'll certainly keep our eye on that. Thanks for that. A quick mention, by the way, that this coming Sunday is the closing date for the oral health survey for children. There's a public health questionnaire aiming to find out the oral health habits among 5-year-olds on the Isle of Man. This is designed to be completed by parents and carers in reception and year 1 to link to the online questionnaire that's been sent to all Isle of Man primary schools to distribute. The question focuses on how children look after their teeth. How about that? For the cost of dentist. Including brushing habits, food, drink intake, and visiting the dentist. Now, the online questionnaire closes just before midnight. this coming Sunday, the 26th. It should take you 10 minutes to complete. If you want more information, you can go to manxradio.com. There's a news story on there, or you can go to the Public Health, Oral Health web pages at government. That's this coming Sunday, this oral health survey for 5-year-olds. They don't fill it out, you do. Just to find out, do they brush their teeth that much? What do they drink? Is it just Ribena? That's it for Mannin Line today. We're open line today, this coming Thursday, live at Ramsey Grammar School. And thanks to Chris Quirk on the phones today.
WINT